Hello, hello. I think we are live everywhere.
Just 1 second, Batul. I will give you a heads up because there's a lag of few seconds. Just 1 second. All right, you can start.
Okay. Hello, hello. I think we're live everywhere. Welcome everyone to our live stream today. Before we start and we wait for a few more people to join us, please scan the QR code to go to slido.com, or if you are on your laptop, type in the code for slido.com, and you can ask any questions in between. You can also answer a poll that we have for you later on. So I'll just give it like five seconds or so, so everyone can join via the QR code. Okay. So today we have a very special guest with us. That is Gonçalo Amorim, who's a senior product manager at TBLX. He will be talking mostly about B2B discovery, career tips you need beyond talking to the customers. The topic is personally very close to me because over the past years we have talked a lot about discovery, new methods, new methodologies, new tools, and it's always a little different from B2B to B2C. So a little bit about me. I'll start with my introduction first. I am Batul. I am originally from Pakistan. I have 6 years of experience in product management. I am an associate product management consultant at Product People. During my time doing product management, I've worked with B2C companies. I've worked with fintech. I've also worked with maritime, and a few more industries. So that's a little bit about me. I will not take a lot of your time just talking about me, so I'll just move on. So we want to get to know you before we start our talk, and this is a small question that we want to ask before we start the talk. When you hear the word B2B discovery, what is your first reaction? Is it just talk to the customers, or in particular in B2B's case, sales will tell me what to do, or is it sounds complicated? Where do I even start? And a lot of people just skip the discovery part, which is not the best practice. And then it's also, isn't it the same as B2C, just with bigger contracts? I will wait a little bit so that everybody can answer, and then we can we can move on. Okay, I think we do have some results for A, B, and C. Um, all three of them are popular answers actually. So, okay. Then, while more people are answering, I will just explain what Product People does. So we are interim product managers. We do product ops, transformation, and acceleration as a service. We have a full-time in-house staff, who are staffed at clients, and how we give back is through different free events and talks at PM communities, such as this live event. You can also check out our physical events or on-site events on our Product People LinkedIn page. We keep on posting them, and yeah. Okay, let me see if we have more responses. I think the responses, yeah, we do have some more responses. So the most popular answer is just talk to the customers, right? Easy. With this, I think I will hand it over to Gonçalo, and over to you.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's funny to see that reply. I hope I can help a little bit on this presentation. So just before jumping in, my name is Gonçalo Amorim, product manager for 8 years already in different areas, but mainly on B2B. So that's why I will talk about B2B with you today. Let me just share my screen. Okay, good. So, as I told you, my name is Gonçalo. Today I will share with you my story. It's really my journey in product, but especially product discovery, and how some frustration led to understanding and actually a better tool belt for B2B discovery. And the goal of the talk is that at the end you have a bit more hope and understanding on your B2B setup regarding discovery, and that teamwork makes the dream work. And I hope that you follow me through the journey of my experience. So, story time. First, I entered 8 years ago on the IT world. I joined it by the sales and marketing side. I'm experienced in that two fields, but almost instantly on my first company, I was doing way more than just sales and marketing, and my role changed to product manager. So I was talking on a daily basis to customers, taking care of customer support, working with the marketing team, and I was actually owning not only the product vision and strategy, but even the budget of the product itself, the entire budget. You might say, awesome, Gonçalo, you had a great setup. I was also very happy. I was very joyful to have all the product in my hands. But the reality of a big enterprise hit and discovery, the thing that I love to do, faced some more new challenges. So you might question, why was I frustrated? The frustration wall that I face is that in the typical B2B company, you might have sales-driven organization. It means that salespeople are the gatekeepers of customer contact, and they are the ones bringing the money, so they call the shots. So sales know the customer needs, and they tell us what to do. Actually, they know the customer so well that they exchange gifts on Christmas, and nobody talks to Batul other than me. I know her by heart, so she's my customer. Nobody talks to her. Just a small parenthesis. I will talk about salespeople on this presentation. Take it as internal stakeholders, customer support, key account managers, but mainly sales, okay? So I was telling you I got hit by a frustration wall. I know how to do discovery. I came from sales. I know how to talk to people, but they don't let me. Sales on this new setup, they don't let me talk to a customer. They don't open the door. And even if they do, sometimes it took me 2 months to reach out to customer and really make the question. So I was really, really frustrated. At the time, I didn't give up. I even had a dedicated role as a product discovery expert. It was more or less a 1 year role. So I developed my exploring skills. Okay, I read all the books. I did some training. I felt that I knew it all. User interviews, shadowing, how to extract data, how to read and organize data, prioritization. I was leading this topic in my company, so I know it all. I know how to do things. But actually, frustration was still there. B2B and B2C are not the same world. And usually, when we read something, we read on the B2C reality. And I was on the B2B. So sales still don't trust me. Even after all this training, they still tell me what to do. So I start to think, okay, me as a PM, I can't push this alone, and I shouldn't. Okay, it's a big enterprise. Let's look at sales. So I started to talk with sales, and I even remember my time as a salesperson. I assume that they are not doing whatever new request just for the next commission. At least most of them, they really want the long-term product success, as I wanted. So instead of just being frustrated, I started to discover and ask some questions to understand. And in my 8 years experience, I found some points that are crucial and across several companies that are blocker for us PMs to talk to our customers. So the first one, false expectations. Maybe past discovery efforts got customer excited about something that never saw the light of day. I had this stated by a key account manager that told me that customer, don't talk to them. They already was promised XYZ, never happened. Okay, so maybe false expectations happened in the past. Second point that I see that it's a reality, training. Maybe they lack training. I'm talking about sales, they like training on deep diving on questions, on problems and making effective questions. And maybe they don't understand the value of it. So let's not make whatever question Gonçalo asked us to do, let's not waste our customer time. I got this reply from a salesperson once, and let's directly tell Gonçalo what to do because we know the customer. Another thing that I saw that might happen for this blockage is the complexity. We as PMs like to think on UX improvement as the next thing and not actually that button will work better. And sometimes we don't explain our complex problems in an easy way. And even if we don't, we might not talk the same language as our customers do. So once again, frustration hits the wall. And once I remember talking to a US customer, and he was saying, I don't understand what you want to discover here. I don't understand your questions. I was also training along all this process, obviously. So last point, and that's very dear to me, visualization. Sometimes people like me, I like to look at things. I like to visualize things. If we go to the books of product discovery, one of the things that we see is that let's not show immediately things, that really understand the problem, discover the real problem. And if we do that, some people will get frustrated because customers are always used to look at salespeople showing the product, playing around with the product. Me as a salesperson, I was doing that, and customers enjoy that. So if I go now to a customer and only make some questions, well, I might get some frustration there. So keep in mind, sales, they hold the customer relationship and they spend several months building it. They are not willing to throw out the window all of that work by a simple meeting by a crazy PM like me. Okay. So I was starting to understand some history blockers that might happen. And I had a realization moment. They, like we are not the bad guys. Okay. There's actually a lack of training, understanding, and even some history in the company that might block these customer contacts due to past experience. So I understand them. They have different KPIs, but at the end, we all share the same goal: product success. Okay. So the main mindset is, once again, discovery is not done alone, and that's okay as long as it's well done. Once again, teamwork makes the dream work. So remember, as I told you, I'm talking about customer support, key account managers. They can also provide valuable insights. Okay, if the customer is out of reach, let's use all the voices that we have as the voice of the customer inside the company, and let's make them questions that at least until the point that they might not understand us and reply to us. So by having this realization, I felt hope on the system, and I started to do some small incremental works to improve the system. And I will share them with you. It's my own reality and experience. And if you tell me, Gonçalo, that will not work in my company, it's a very hard setup, I have a very stubborn customer or stakeholder I cannot manage, stick around. I think at least the main idea will resonate with you. Okay. So what have I done? The first thing that I try to make it clear is that there is a difference between discovery and validation. If I tell discovery, it's like new ideas. We need to stop everything. We are starting from ground zero. Alarms are raised. Okay, so development is not happening. Gonçalo wants to discover the next thing to build. What if we don't discover? What if we validate? We validate the idea, the problem, the solution, and we don't stop our work because we are working on stakeholders' input, customers' input, and that slightly word change made some of my stakeholders understand, okay, development is still happening. We are actually just validating my input. So with my experience that they saw, especially management, that discovery was not a waste of time because it's no longer discovery, it's validation. And the impact that I got is that actually they were allowing me to have space for validation. Okay, it's happened in the two different companies that I had in the past. So yeah, this slight change of words brought impact. The second thing I tried, and this is a hard one for everybody to try it, is reward systems. You might question, why aren't sales promoting discovery, or why aren't sales promoting a new product that we need feedback on, or new MVP we need feedback on? Sales are moved by motivation, but also rewards. Okay, it's money. If the reward system is only focused on you make a sale, you bring numbers, I'll give you money, they will not deviate from that. I will make sure that Batul gets all the information she needs to buy my products, and I will not spend any time else, right? So if we allow the company, or if we push the company to change the reward system to pay out or give any extra vacation, something like that, to the salespeople who brought in a very important customer for validation process, or that brought in a customer into the process that really was engaged with that, or brought an idea, maybe we can have more engaged salespeople. I've tried in the past by paying out a lunch to a salesperson, and more than that, I made sure that it was mentioned on the kudos email and on the celebration side. So I got him involved. And the impact here is that the company will show sales, that's my take, They are not here just to sell, okay? They are here, as all of us are, to ensure the long-term vision of the product, to ensure that we can have customers to prevail our ideas, and the overall product success is actually the goal that we all have. So if I talk about reward system, let's talk about the typical process we have, maybe easier ones. A/B testing. Once again, in the books, in B2C, if we expose an A/B test, we have thousands of users. In each scenario, we have a lot of metrics to compare and a lot of conclusions to take out of it. It's actually one of the most used ways to do tests, to validation, A/B testing. But for B2B, there is a tendency not only to not show different front ends to customers, because I don't want my 3,000 enterprise user customer having a different front end from now. And even if I show some of my tests, the traffic is not that much. At least in most B2B, we don't have thousands and thousands of users by hour. So if the traffic is slow, we might get not trust reward, okay, in terms of data. So what I created here, and it's a suggestion, I have it in my company, let's call it Customer Club. I have a controlled scenario where I can talk with my customers and some experts on the industry to validate ideas. It's perfect? No, it's not. It's better than no testing? Yes, it is. So the idea here is that we have a customer club. It's a monthly feedback circle where we have sales, bringing in customers, but you also have experts on the industry. They can tell, comment, and even play around with experiments, but they also bring in inputs from the market, okay? So having here also external people is very important. So the impact of this change here of this customer club is that we managed to have faster validation in a controlled environment, and sales could even make a party because they could invite some of the more tech-savvy customers. Our customers, they like to be involved. So if we don't want to spend their time in a lot of other tryouts, let's create a customer club. It's very posh, okay? If we talk about having a customer club, we imagine face-to-face customers, and with that, we talk about interviews for sure. So we all want to talk with the customers, but in a B2B setup, I question you can raise your hands. How many of you really have a customer contact, a direct, regular customer contact? I don't, and that's why I apply this strategy a lot of the time. So if, like me, you want to talk to customers, but it's not easy, what I usually do is that I interview the voice of the customer, sales in this case, just like a customer. I bring the questions that I want to bring to customers. I can tell you a story that I interviewed 2 key accounts, me and a colleague of mine, we interviewed 2 key account managers because we said we want to talk to customers. We want to interview them. Interview, what you're going to question them, I'm not sure how it's going to be. And we said, okay, let us interview you like you are the customer, and you check it and you see what's happening. And after that work, we got feedback like, you're asking very important questions, or I don't know how to reply to that, but my customer already mentioned, or he knows how to reply to it. So our blockers, they saw the process, they trust the process, they understood what an interview is, and they opened doors. They said, I'll connect you to my customers. So the impact here was amazing because trust was starting to appear, okay? If we talk about interviews, we also need to talk about observation, shadowing, okay? I can give you an example right now. You might all write in the chat, Gonçalo, I'm loving your speech about B2B discovery. It's amazing, you're very good speech. But you're nodding your face, no, or you're making silly faces, I don't know. It's without observation, it's just a talk, right? And everybody that talks, they can add a point. So observation is key, and we need to teach our salespeople, if we are not in front of the customers, that is not only talk, they need to observe. I can tell you a very specific example that I had some years ago. I was interviewing some dispatchers. A dispatcher, basically on my industry, I work in the automotive industry. It's a person that have a role kind of Tetris game. He have orders, a driver, and a truck. He needs to make sure all is combined to deliver on time. So I was there in their offices, interviewing them, asking, how is your day? How your day flows, what you do, right? And they told me they work with a laptop, they have Excel, they have driver information, customer information, and they need to match everything. Awesome. So it's a very software-driven environment. But then we took some pictures, and then we got this question. Why are you spending all your day with a pen in your hand, even moving the mouse around without dropping the pen? Why do you have paper in front of you? Why is the printer next to you? At least in my company, I don't know where the printer is. They have a printer next to them. So we understood by observation there are some things, some systems that are not communicating among themselves. And when I tell this story to salespeople and they understand, okay, it's not only what people say, because sometimes we do things we don't even acknowledge, it's what people do. They started, and that's the impact of telling them what shadowing is. They started to also make questions to customers like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that kind of flow? Why are you breaking the flow in this scenario, and things like that? And they even understand and brought us observation facts. Okay, Gonçalo, customer was doing this, but then he was always grabbing the phone to do some connection. So we're missing a link here. Okay. In the end, I have a very important example. I'll pay for that. This is something that probably all of us heard in the past. How many of you have already had a customer or a salesperson saying, if you don't do this, I'll drop out, or we're going to have an amazing customer if you do X? Okay, this is a very triggering moment, not only for the salespeople but for company. Depending on the stage, we don't want to lose any customer, or we want to make all customers our customers. And in big companies, enterprises, there are key customers we cannot make frustration. Okay, so usually when we hear these kind of customers talking, we jump immediately to solve that problem. And this example that I want to give here is, we need to teach and explain our salespeople with examples and with reality that the I'll pay for that or the I'll give up the company might not be the problems we want to solve. Two examples I can give you here from observations that I had in the past. So once again, using the dispatcher example. Dispatcher is a person that wants to do this Tetris. If I develop a software that makes all this work just by a button click, it's amazing, right? I mean, I'm saving this person hours and hours of work. What will he do tomorrow? More than that, I heard a dispatcher saying, I love to get a call, I love to see a challenge, and I love to solve that challenge. That's the rewarding thing for me. Like me as a product manager, I want to do discovery. I want to go into the unknown or to the validation side and know what to do next. If all of that is done in my behalf, I'm just a project manager, okay? So this example here is that we need to understand what is the real problem to solve, because sometimes solving what people complain is not actually our job. And grabbing on that, what people complain. Another example that I can give here is that I talked with the customer and he told me, Gonçalo, I spend 1 hour extracting a report. It blocks my lunchtime. Okay, let's jump into that. I will immediately solve that problem. I'm not very experimented on extracting data, but I'll work on that. If we don't jump immediately to the problem, we can make questions like, what happened on the rest of your morning? And maybe the customer is spending 3 hours extracting data from different sources. Oh, and actually my API is it's very good for that extraction and not extraction, but combining data, right? So in this scenario, if we use our API to solve what is easy for it, we are not solving the problem that customer is complaining, but we are solving the 3 hours prior to lunchtime. And actually 1 hour extracting report is not a problem because he's starting it 2 hours earlier, something like that. So this to say, don't jump to the first problem you hear, and especially don't get biased by customers, specific customers. That's a very hard thing for sales to do. Sales, as most of us, we are people pleasers. We want to make people happy so we can succeed, we can move forward, right? We are bridge builders. If we always jump to the same problem, we might be solving the wrong problem. And that's something that I started to give to the people that are talking to our customers, not only sales, key account managers, and so on. And they started to question why more often. So they also deep dive on the presented problem. What are you doing before that? Is that a real problem? Why? What if we take that out of your scenario? Are you happy or sad? What's happening? Okay. And last but not least, spotlight sales. This is probably the easiest one to do and the best one. It's kind of the reward system. I'll explain to you. Sometimes product development is recognized by the great PMs that we have in front of the product, right? Or even better, the great product teams, developers, and everybody around. What if we spotlight the salespeople? What if we say thank you to this person, sales X, that brought in the customer and really made us understand the problem. If we don't spotlight them, they will feel not part of the team. But more than that, if we bring them to the process, if we bring them to the validation that we want to have, they start to have skin on the game because they were there. They agree with what we need to do next. So they now back up and they understand the process in a better way. They start to gain trust and they feel part of the team. Okay. This is one of the last things that I've tried in my past experience that really opened some doors, right? Because they know how to do and they are valued by it. So they will even call more customers to support. So with these examples that I just gave you, I hope they work for you. Questions will come after. I not only brought sales into our validation process, but they are now bringing great feedback. They are now part of the system. They know how to do some more questions to the customer. They know how to observe. They know that they have a customer club that they can bring in customers and be part of it. So they understand that validation is time. It's not like, Gonçalo, we have this thing to do it now. It's the next thing on your roadmap. No, we need to validate better the problem. We need to validate solutions. And we even need to validate after it's deployed that it really brings value. So they see that that time to validate actually bring value. It's very important. And now when research is done, they no longer take it on the wrong side when I start to make questions like, okay, Batul, why are you saying that? Is that really the customer of the problem? What is doing on his day to day? It's not me confronting them because they understand that I'm not against their point of view. I'm just understanding the problem. So me as a PM, I need to make those questions. I need to understand and validate them. So this kind of transformation, and it's very important, this kind of transformation could happen on the company level if you are the CEO. I assume I'm talking mostly to PMs. So right now, if you are the PM or you cry to the CEO saying everything is wrong, or you can do a transformation bit by bit. I think it's easy to change individual minds than the entire organization. And you need to find the middle ground, right? I want to talk to customers. I can't, okay, what is the next thing that I can do? I can talk to the people that talk to customers daily, salespeople, customer support, key account managers, even some management in the company, all time stakeholders. Let's talk to them, okay? Let's really make sure that past history events that create all these blockages can be cleared out. So as a conclusion, work as a team. Look to sales not as gatekeepers trying to ruin your product or just earn some money on commissions, but as colleagues who can become powerful voices of the customer with some training and build together. If they can bring the voice of the customer, make them your partners. Don't push away sales. Don't say, sales, give me a customer contact and ciao, never see you again. No, let them have skin in the game. Let them be there. If they can, let's not have sales talking the entire interview process. You do the interview, sales can take some notes and smile, but they need to be there. They need to be part of the problem. If you don't create this kind of teamwork, you will have barriers and walls after walls until you reach a customer. If you manage to bring sales to your side, you might not get customer feedback right away, or you might not talk to customers right away, but you will get better customer feedback and they will trust the process. And that in the long term will open the door for you. So you need to build together. I hope, and what I wanted with this presentation is for you to don't feel all the questions that I also had in the past. What am I doing wrong? Why don't they trust me? Should I just do whatever they ask me to do, even if it's crazy? No. You might be on the wrong setup. B2B, it's usually marked by all of these barriers, or you might be on a setup that needs some training. So you need to adapt and do it as a team. Okay, don't give up. I wanted to now say thank you. Thank you for listening. Also, thank you to these three amazing people. Some of them are watching right now. They really helped me on this presentation and gave me motivation. And last but not least, let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's make sure that we can build products together and work as a team. Thank you very much. That's all.
Yeah. I will share my screen for the same Slido slide.
Sure.
Let me share my screen. And you can post any questions that you have for us via slido.com and we'll take it from there. I will wait for a few seconds so everybody is on Slido and they can start posting their questions, and then I'll talk a little bit about product people while people post their questions. Okay, for product people, when to engage us, when do you contact us? We do interim fractional product management. We cover permanent positions while you're hiring, so it typically takes 3 to 9 months per role. And while that position is being filled, we cover that. We cover for parental leave, and we also cover for important and urgent initiatives. For example, building MVPs, developing strategies and roadmap. Another use case that we have is program management or product ops. We step in to appraise skills and set up personal development plans. We also step in to streamline processes and programs. And the third use case that we have is transform acceleration. We shift from sales or tech led to product led companies, and we also help configure your product strategy and team structure. Okay. These are some of our B2C clients that we have worked with before, which includes eBay, Tier, Scout24, etc. We have also worked with some of the B2B clients, for example, World Health Organization, and you can check out the clients and case studies on our website as well. Some stats. So we have supported over 300 teams. We are a team of 42 product leaders and product managers. And a very interesting fact is that we have 62% women in the team, and then 66% of women in leadership. And just let me quickly check if we have questions. Yes, we do have questions. So our first question is, I'll actually move to the previous slide just so if anybody has missed out and wants to add more questions. So the first question is, please discuss the hurdle when you get to talk to the procurement customer who buys the product, but you do not get to talk to the end user in the client organization.
That's a great question. I'm not sure if the person who asked it is actually working on my company or not, because that's kind of a current challenge that we face. So that's kind of the prescriber and the user, right? If I prescribe something, somebody will use it like a doctor. The way that I try to solve this, it's once again by thinking on if the interview, if you ever read the book on the MUM test, that's the way to do interviews. We should question our people on what do they do as a story. Okay, so it's not I will use my reality. The people that buy my product are fleet managers. The people that use my product are dispatchers. A fleet manager, they have different KPIs, they have different needs from a dispatcher, right? Dispatcher more on the operation. So the way that I try to reach out to the dispatcher is obviously asking for it politely to a fleet manager when I can. But more than that is asking how that fleet manager interacts with the dispatcher. How do you deal with that? And even if, okay, you are buying this product, how it will be used? What is the KPI that you have for the product? Keep in mind, they might have a KPI on more on budgeting because fleet manager is more organizing the entire fleet, dispatcher is more operation. Okay, that KPI, how does that reflect on the dispatcher? I know this is the dispatcher using, okay? So I try to make the question on how will that product be used and how is that person connecting to the other person? You will see report lines and you may question, okay, what is on that report? What are you getting from the dispatcher? And that's where you start to understand a little bit the dispatcher. But one thing that I didn't mention here, and actually could be something to add to the next presentation, don't always follow straight lines, okay? It's like somebody buys my product, I talk to that person and then to the dispatcher if they allow me. There are for sure online people that do dispatching and they are more than welcome to share that with you. You can follow people on social media and just, hey, I saw that you are a dispatcher, can I do an interview to you, okay? Try to do that kind of approach, not always follow a straight line. Yeah, just put yourself on the customer's shoes and try to find them. And that's how I would say that I try to overcome that hurdle, is to make clear that I want to understand who's using the product, not only who's buying.
Thank you so much. I think that this was really, really insightful. The second question that we have is, how does the product discovery process differ from between B2B's longer cycle and multiple stakeholders versus B2B's faster, emotionally driven choices?
Give me 2 seconds to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, I will just look at the question first. So B2B longer cycles. It means that usually in B2B things are slower and they need more time to validate, even more processes, and you have multiple stakeholders involved in that. B2C it's faster because maybe it's a CEO or maybe it's a very small go-to-market team, and emotional because in B2C you might have a trend somewhere and you need to adapt to it. How does the product discovery process differ? I think that's basically, especially about the multiple stakeholders, that's basically one of the things that I want to say with this presentation is that in B2B, we need to make sure that all stakeholders are following the same line. All stakeholders are understanding the same problem that we are willing to solve, because sometimes it's not an A/B test that will validate our idea. Sometimes it's a meeting with 3 or 4 senior stakeholders that will validate our idea. So I see that product discovery changes because in B2B, you really need to work as a team. You really need to pull in all your stakeholders, even before you go to market, just to make sure that it's possible. In B2C, you have a smaller team, it's more emotional, and the trend is something that can last 1 day or 1 week. So it's faster on the idea of validation. Develop something, put on the market, even if it's a pilot group, pilot with them and see a result. That's a big difference that I see in B2B and B2C, and that's why most books talk about B2C, because it's fast, it's emotional, it's a roller coaster, and you try and you see metrics right away. And B2B, it's not the same thing. B2B, it's much more a political game, it's much more of a bridge builder, and that's the main difference that I see between those two scenarios.
Thank you so much. The third one is, have you ever killed a feature idea after discovery, even if it was backed by a big client or stakeholders, and how did you manage expectations?
I would not say I ever killed a feature or idea. I would say I postpone it. I would say all the ideas are good, maybe not just for now. So what happened in my past experience that I had a stakeholder saying this is our big next priority, but after some discovery, nobody's actually asking for that. Nobody is really in need of that. I made a question to the, I cannot say all the names because NDAs, but I talked with my stakeholder and I said, who's using that? Like, how can I ensure that I have money coming from that investment? How much return on investment will I have on that? It's not clear. Okay, so then let's postpone it. I have this one, it's clear. I have all the data here that I can do it and it's needed for the customers. So it's not saying that you don't have priority. You need to validate your problem a little bit first, and then we can look into that. So the way that I deal with that is I make the questions to the stakeholders as if they are very smart people working towards the same goal, product goal, and I question them. Do you know KPIs for these? Do you know how we're going to measure? Yes, let's do it. No, maybe we need to prioritize that something else.
Okay, thank you. Um, the fourth question is, what are some common misconceptions teams have when approaching B2B discovery compared to B2C?
I will mention two. I believe there are more for sure. The first misconception is that let's put a test out there and we'll have thousands of metrics that we can analyze the next day. Thousands and thousands of users that will tell us if it's good or not. In B2B, that's not the reality. Also, because as I mentioned in the presentation, in B2B, you don't expose customers that you spend months and months, that you have very big contracts to new ideas out of the blue, right? If you want to try something, it needs to be on a controlled environment, okay? And I had another idea that I just slipped out my mind. So it's the number of people we have, and well, it's maybe I combined two ideas. It's also the idea that you can expose things out there and try it out. I'm not talking about the data that you get from it. I'm talking about the bureaucratic, and legal constraints about it. In B2C, you can try an idea fast. If it doesn't work, you kill it. You kind of own, you, the PM and the CEO and the product team owns it. If it's B2B, the thing is that when you expose anything, you have all your customers using it, and if something fails, it fails your customer business. It's not that easy to expose things out there to have a tryout. It's not that easy because it's a lot of people involved.
Okay. Thank you so much. We have a few more questions, so I'll just relay them. What strategies do you use to get honest and actionable feedbacks from B2B customers, especially when relationships are more formal and hierarchical?
I'm going to tell the way that I've done it in the past in my smaller B2B company and also in this B2B company that I'm at now, CLX, Daimler Truck. It's with some brutal honesty. I remember that once I was interviewing a customer and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about the system, bad about the system. It's a system on our company." And I remember me and a colleague of ours, we said, "We are not here representing that system. We are here to understand you. So please speak bad about it." The bad feedback is usually the best one. If you go to any place, you have great reviews, you have negative reviews, everything in between, you don't listen to it. But the bad negative, the negative reviews really bring a lot of information. So I do that with my customer. I tell them, I'm here to understand you. Tell me what you really feel about it. Tell me if you really have a complaint here. I will not tell anything with your name written on. It's feedback just for me, and I'll put it on a whiteboard, on a sticker. Nobody knows it's you. So that's how I do it. Yes, it's formal and hierarchical, but once again, people are smart and they understand. I'm not there to sell. I'm not there to push anything to you. I'm there to understand your problem. Because if I do understand your problem better, then the product could go better. That's how I do it, and I've done it in the past in different scenarios. Even pointing out this product have a lot of failures. Tell me some more that I don't see. That's how I do it.
Yeah. I think it takes a little bit more courage to be more brutally honest and accept feedback as they come instead of being defensive. But it is very crucial to improve further and deliver better results for our customers.
Yeah, you can go home after that and have a beer to forget whatever it is the customer said, but at least you get honest feedback from me.
Yeah, 100%. So the last question I have here is, how do you balance the need for speed and discovery with the often longer decision cycles in your B2B environments?
That's one of the challenges. That's why in some it depends, obviously, from organization to organization, but in some B2B organizations, and it was in two different questions here, or even more, it's the long decision cycle. Like it's the long term, it takes a lot of time. So I said it in the beginning, when we talk with our stakeholders saying we need to discover, they assume it's ground zero, it's going to take months, it's going to be forever. If we say we need to validate, the way that I do it is really on, okay, one workshop day or afternoon, let's really understand the problem. We are not 100% sure we got it. We are 70% sure it's more than enough to move forward. If we need to discover things up to 100%, we lost time to market. So I always use like the short time windows to be able to understand the problem. Problem is clear. Everybody signs here with blood. Let's move forward. Now the let's move forward is different. If you need to have validation, like really front end validation, user experience, some shadowing, some concierge formats, then you need a big team of product designers to really do some tests, and that I would say is challenging. So the way that I usually do is we try two, three things, and we need to come to a consensus. If it's not the best thing, we have more time to validate after its deployment. That's also why I don't usually do like a big bang deployment of an epic, just because if it's small incremental things, you can say, oh, we are going on the wrong path. Let's do it something different. That's one way that I try, and try is very important. It doesn't fit always. It doesn't fit everybody. That's how I try to do. Fast, small iterations, and okay, we've come to the best place we could. Let's move forward.
That that answers the question. Also, it gives a good, okay. Doing things in iteration is usually a good idea. We have two more questions. I see people are still posting questions, so we have two more questions. And I see we do have a bit of time, so I'll just go ahead. What was the most surprising feedback you have received in B2B discovery, and how did it shift your plans for the product?
Let me think. And I cannot share everything, but I would say like this. We were aiming to understand if our customer would need some alerts by using a product, or actually we were trying to understand if our customer would need a new software to deal with the new product. And we were talking to him back and forth, and we understood that the only thing that was concerning him was that in the morning he would wake up and he wouldn't know if the truck and the load would be ready to depart or not. So we were thinking on a full software to really help a customer onboarding into a product. And we understood that you don't need all of that shenanigan. They just need really to trust the data that they get, and they just really need to trust that that alert is really triggering something important. So, and I cannot share that much, but here what I would say is that the surprising feedback was not a complex system, was something very simple. And our plans basically said, okay, maybe we don't need to develop all of these. Let's really focus on those alerts. Let's really make sure that our customers trust when they are using the product. I hope I answered with all the NDA that I have with me, but I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. So we have one last question, and this is: I remember a theme in one of Rich Mironov's book. Don't do a special, as in don't deliver a feature that only one of your customers want. Agree or disagree?
I would say I agree, but there are phases. Let me explain this. If you're a startup and if you need to start moving your product somehow, sometimes you will need to say, let's do a special for that customer. Let's fit in that customer, because it could be an open door to a niche market or an open door to a new side of the market. But if we think about B2B, unless you are a server-based product, you shouldn't do a special. And I agree with what Rich says there, is that really we need to look at the problem as abstract. And I said that in my presentation. Let's not be biased by who said that. Let's really be abstract, because we are solving a problem. And if it's very tailor-made for you, Batul, maybe I will not be able to use it, and I'm gaining one but losing 2 or 3 other customers. So don't do special. I agree, but I would say in some startup or start of company phases, maybe that's important to enter in a market, and maybe you need to agree that you have a tech debt there, but you are trying out something. But always try to wrap up in a single box all your product. Otherwise, it's a mess. So I agree with Rich, but I would give this small 2 cents here.
All right. I think this was thank you so much, Gonçalo. This was a really insightful session, especially for PMs who are just starting in their career, who wants to know a little bit more about discovery, or people who are shifting from B2C to B2B. I did it a few years, I think a year or so ago. I shifted from B2C to B2B, and this was also really insightful for me. I will just quickly go over. So we're also hiring at Product People, and we also have a newsletter if you want to learn about more. This month's newsletter was also surprisingly about discovery, product discovery, things PMs usually do to do proper discovery, and why it's important. Why skipping the discovery step is like skipping the IKEA manual. And feel free to subscribe to our newsletter, and yeah, that's it. Then we have the next week we have another live stream, the current big wave of products, building AI products, and will be honored to host you there. Thank you so much. And I
Thank you
think
very much. It was a pleasure to share some knowledge. I hope to connect with you all and continue the conversation.